So we just had our first episode of all the Teen Titans finally joining together. And it really feels like the actual Teen Titans are starting to take shape. So there will be spoilers for the new episode of Titans from this point on. So this episode was kind of short. I think it was 41 minutes, but if you take out the promo and the credits, it's about 40 minutes or just under 40 minutes. Which is weird because the early episodes were all around the 50-minute mark. But hey, whatever amount of time they need to tell a story, as long as, it doesn't stretch on more than it needs to. But this episode was all about the Titans coming together and forming kind of a team while the nuclear family is chasing them. So we had a really nice scene at the start where Dick, Corey, Rachel, and Gar are all showing each other their powers, and it was a really nice way for this team to get to know each other. And I liked how they were all so on board with training already. None of them were like doing that cliche kind of trope where they're like, oh, I don't need training, or I'm not going to train with you, and then they go off their own way. Then the enemy shows up, beats them all, and then they all go, you know what, maybe we should train together. No, they just jump right into the training. Literally 5 minutes into the episode, we're already having all these characters showing each other their powers and, directing their powers. That was great. But it feels a little weird and jarring because the pacing is so off. When you have an episode like last week's, that was kind of slowish, and then you jump straight into this episode when you have all of it moving so fast. It's another clear identification that this show was meant to be a binge. If I'd watched last episode and then moved straight onto this episode, I'd be like, alright, that's cool. But when you have a week between the episode, it feels a little bit more, the pacing feels off. And I feel like if in season 2, they need to figure out in season 2, from the get-go, if they are going to be either a watch one a week show or they're going to be a binge show. And when they decide which one they're going to be, then they make the season centered around that. They don't, kind of make the season thinking they're going to be one thing and then not. But we got our first real team-up fights with the Titans this episode, and everybody found out that Dick is Robin, and I loved Gar's reaction to that, where he's like, are we going to meet Batman? Because of course, in this universe, Batman would be a well-established character, and people would know that Batman and Robin work together all the time. So when you see one of them, you'd immediately assume, well, oh my god, are we going to see the other? So I really like that, and hey, maybe season or 2 down the line, Gar, we will see Batman, who knows? I liked when the nuclear family, I thought that they were better this episode. They were better than the last few episodes, and I don't know why that was. I just kind of enjoyed them more. They were still creepy, but it was creepy in a way that I think complemented the episode more than the other ones did. And the whole dynamic between them is so it's so odd, but I really enjoyed it. We didn't get to see them long though, as they got completely suicide squatted with their heads blown off, and apparently they're being brainwashed. And that's this whole organization brainwashes people. This organization obviously either serves Trigon or they're trying to prepare a way for Trigon to come to Earth. And that's obviously why they want Rachel. I'm assuming that if they want to open a portal to let Trigon come to Earth, they need Rachel for that. I did hear some people say that it's possible it could be the Church of Blood, which is, Sebastian Blood, Brother Blood, and his kind of crew, who are big Teen Titans villains. I don't know though. I don't know if they'd couple those two arcs together, especially since there's only 6 episodes left to reveal this is all Sebastian Blood and Brother Blood and all of that, and then that they're somehow serving Trigon. I don't think so. I think this whole season is going to be aimed towards Trigon, because the first 6 or so, well no, the first 8 or so issues of the Teen Titans original run was all about the team coming together and beating Trigon. It was about Raven forming the team and then having the team beat Trigon. So I did see a lot of people say that they probably wouldn't do Trigon as a main villain this early. Well, in the comics, he was the first big villain. There was the Fearsome Five and Deathstroke in that a little bit before, but they only were small parts. Trigon was the first big thing they faced. So I really would not be surprised if Trigon was the main villain of this season. The fight scene, all of the fight scenes in this episode were pretty great, but they're still really they're edited very weirdly. Like sometimes we'll get like a 30-second cut of Robin, you know, just running around hitting people. Then it'll do random 2-second cuts of the nuclear family trying to punch him, and then we'll get another mad cuts of all the characters just doing their thing, but it's cut so weirdly that it doesn't work too well. Like the fight scenes were cool and they were great and I enjoyed them, but I think they need to fix the editing of it, because so far editing and pacing are the only huge problems this show has had, and 5 episodes in they still have them. So I'm assuming that we're not going to see any huge changes on this before the end of the season, as more or less all the editing for the episodes are done at this point, I would assume. But I'm hoping in season 2 they fix editing, pacing, and pacing falls into the whole binging thing anyway. One of the nuclear family, I can't remember who it said, but somebody said lickety split, and I just immediately thought of Clark from season 2 episode 1 of Supergirl, where one of the first things he says when he gets off the phone with Perry White, he's like, "Yep, I'll have that for you, lickety split." I loved it.
Lickety split.
Lickety split.
And then at the very end, we saw a little person who is who's a Robin, who may or may not really enjoy crowbars, and that is Jason Todd, who is my favorite Batman Mythos character. But boy oh boy, when did I not like his entrance. That was, I don't know if it's the actor, if it's the way he talks, if it's the spiky hair, or what it is. I don't like it at all, but I get it. I mean, Jason Todd, when he first showed up in the characters, everyone hated him. He was the first new Robin in 40 years. He was the only Robin that wasn't Dick Grayson. He was so bad that the audience voted to kill him off. But I don't know if that's what they're going for. If they were going for it to make the audience not like him, kind of like how the original comics didn't like him. But if that's not what they're going for, I don't know how I feel about him then. But that's more or less all I want to talk about. The episode was good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably my favorite episode yet. Just barely be talking dove for me. But again, it still has the same problems that all the early episodes have suffered from. Just this one was more enjoyable, and I think it deserves about an 8.2 out of 10. But thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and have a great day.